So Tim, this is sort of your main investigation area?
That's correct. This is the office of the Digital Child Exploitation Team at Department of Internal Affairs.
So are you tracking predators as well as attempting to identify child victims in New Zealand in this office?
That's correct. So this is where the investigators and intelligence analysts will receive referrals from all over the world, and this is where they are developed into investigative leads.
The global trade of child sexual abuse material is flourishing. New Zealand authorities say the victims are getting younger.
And when I say young, I mean children that are, less than 1 year of age, so in that infant bracket of life.
Is that because a baby or a 1-year-old can't talk, can't tell?
That is potentially one of the reasons.
And the content more depraved.
I think not only the age of victims, but also the severity of the sexual abuse or rape is definitely more sadistic in nature.
Now, a new breed of ultra-violent manipulators is scouring social media platforms to take advantage of vulnerable young people. Europol issued a warning last month about online groups dedicated to grooming, sexual abuse, acts of cruelty, torture, and murders, some of which promote neo-Nazism, nihilism, and paedophilia as core principles. But this is not just an overseas problem. Offenders and victims have emerged in New Zealand.
We have encountered a couple of New Zealand offenders that we suspect are connected to those types of spaces. And we are aware that some New Zealand some referrals have been received for New Zealand victims of that.
Yeah, so sadistic online exploitation is something we've been seeing internationally, and it's made its way to New Zealand recently.
Detective Senior Sergeant Keppel Richards says, like sextortion, victims are tricked into sending explicit images which are then used to elicit increasingly degrading, violent images and video. But unlike sextortion, sadistic exploitation is not about profiting financially. Predators want the content to bolster their reputation amongst like-minded online offenders.
What is the motivation behind trying to get young people to commit depraved or sadistic acts, film it and share it?
Yeah, it's a crime type we're still learning about currently, but what we understand is these people, and they're generally young people, are doing it for an online community to try and gain notoriety, clout. The internet gives these people access to vulnerable people that they otherwise wouldn't encounter, and they use that internet to manipulate and get them to do acts that they can then skite about with their community, their online community.
In the US, leaders of one online group were arrested, with investigators saying victims were encouraged to cut and eat their own hair, drink urine, punch themselves, and use razor blades to carve members' names into their skin. The coercion escalated to pressuring victims to kill themselves via video live stream.
Not detailing any specific cases, but are you investigating cases where young people have either been victims of such sadistic groups, or there are people in New Zealand who are part of these groups carrying out such violent behaviour?
Yes, we are seeing instances of New Zealand victims and also New Zealand offenders in this space.
What are some of the examples of what these people are trying to do to earn clout or raise their reputation online?
Yeah, we're seeing instances of people being exploited in terms of providing more child sexual abuse imagery, self-generated, or self-harm in the form of markings on their bodies and things like that, that these groups can use for their clout and notoriety. But again, it's a relatively new crime type that we're still looking into.
Predators encouraging people to take their own lives, young
Yes,
people?
we've heard of that.
I mean, it's sick, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredibly harmful, and I think the material that we encounter, we have to work very closely with our colleagues at police to mitigate the risks of exactly those sorts of circumstances.
Predators target young people on platforms most parents will be familiar with. They've had a presence on Instagram, the messaging service Telegram, and the chat group Discord. Offenders have also been identified scouring popular gaming sites like Roblox. All these companies told the Herald they have removed users associated with such groups. They proactively work to hunt out and ban suspicious accounts and regularly engage with law enforcement agencies around the world.
We don't want to alarm parents out there. We just want them to be aware of some of the risks online, which is similar to sextortion and other child sexual abuse material, and just making sure they put the right privacy settings and have those conversations in place to keep their young people safe.
What should parents be looking out for in any kind of online exploitation like this?
Yeah, look, some of the things that I'm aware of are looking for changes in behaviour of their children. There might be visible things that that they're concerned about. The sort of reclusion, so starting to shut themselves away, being secretive about their online activity. If any parents have concerns about that happening with their children, again, I'd encourage them to report that as soon as possible.